Ah yes, that's the stuff to get you in the mood there for the big match coming up. Well, even if you have no interest in Irish dancers, surely you'll have heard of the Caledonian set. St Joseph Dancers of Dura, Bearfield and Clare. Already a bit of Clare nifty footwork here at Croke Park. Yes, political faces in the crowd here at Croke Park have enjoyed that. The dancers then finishing up with what is appropriately called the friendship set between Offaly and Clare. Did you enjoy that, Gerard? It was good stuff.
Marvellous stuff. That has been ongoing, Michael, I'd say, in Clare since the Munster final.
I have no doubt. I mean, obviously, being down in Limerick yourself and close to the Clare border there, you have a feeling for the kind of atmosphere that's been in the county.
I think words of mine fail to describe the atmosphere that has been in Clare since they beat Limerick in the Munster final, you know, but the crack and real has simply been unbelievable, you know, to say the least in Clare. They've thoroughly enjoyed it, and they intend to enjoy themselves today, obviously hoping to make it a victory as well.
The question that everybody is asking is this getting through to the players, do you think?
Well, yes, I would say so. I mean, I'd say Clare will be very confident going into today's game. I would hope that Gerard Loughnane has kept the pressure and the hype and the emotion away from the actual Clare team, because that won't win the game for Clare today. Like, it'll have to be a workmanlike performance as they had been achieving in all their games to date. If the hype and if the tension, if the emotion of the game gets to Clare, I think they could be in a bit of trouble, you know, because Offaly have been through it all before, so they'll be the cooler dressing room.
DJ Carey, what about Offaly? I mean, most people are naturally enough talking about Clare going up to this All-Ireland final, but you know what this Offaly team are like, having played them in the Leinster final.
That's right, Michael. They're experienced heads. They're coming up, they know what it's all about. You know, there's been rumour that there's been trouble in the Offaly camp during the week, and we know for a fact when there's trouble in the Offaly camp to come out and to really play their best. You know, it's very hard to look beyond them at the moment, and I think that they probably will win today, but it all depends. It's looking like a Leinster final day, really.
Well, I was just looking over my shoulder here at the moment, and it's gone very black and heavy here, and there is the prospect of a real downpour. If the weather turns wet, will that be in Offaly's favour?
Well, I don't think it's in anyone's favour, to be honest with you. It's as good as one as it is for the other. People say the real bad weather didn't suit us in the Leinster final. That isn't the way it works. Right. You know, it'll be as bad as one as it is for another. Now, I would have said if the weather was very warm, the sod was very dry, I would have said it would have been in Clare's favour because of their fitness level at the moment, because John Try was troubled with injury. He's probably not 100% fit. Hubert Brigney was troubled with injury. Daithí Regan. And I would say they would have been vital sectors for Offaly and Clare, you know. So with the softer ground, it would probably suit them fellas who are not totally 100% fit, you know. I'm not saying that it's in running terms they're not fit. I'm just saying they were carrying injuries all along in the championship, and they're bound to be not 100%.
We were just remarking in actual fact how much difference a month makes, because a month ago we were here at Croke Park for the All-Ireland semi-finals. On that occasion, I can tell you, I was here wiping the sweat off my brow. Well, the trickles that are on the brow today are little trickles of rain, and let's hope that weather stays dry, because it is looking very menacing here at the moment. Now, in just a moment here at Croke Park, Taoiseach John Bruton is due to arrive, and to mark his arrival, let's go over to our match commentator for the moment, Gerard Canning.
Yes, Michael, Croke Park looks absolutely magnificent. As you say, there is the real possibility of rain and the clouds opening up at any second here. Let's hope that cloud passes over and we have a nice, pleasant afternoon. The rain has eased off and the surface is in very good condition, drying out the whole time, I think. As we saw in the early stages of the minor match, it was a little bit slippery underfoot, but the players came to grips with the task that they faced. And as you know, that ended with a straightforward victory from the men from the lead. Agus an ish, Monacol Bokali or Dainik talked the mark on shot. Just above that, the Ord Corley section and President Jack Boothman there in the centre of all of that. James Eo to end the wait. Perhaps we'll know that by 5 o'clock. The 108th All-Ireland Hurling final and the first ever meeting, of course, of Offaly and Clare. It's Offaly's 5th time in the final, Clare's 4th. Offaly with 3 titles, Clare just the one in 1914, where Laois were the beaten team. And are you right there, McCarthy? Are you right? Daly's going to take you home tonight. Great poetry and a good banner as well. But it's been like that down in Clare. I was down there on Tuesday and Wednesday. The place is awash with colour, saffron and blue just everywhere. And right into West Clare, which is football territory, you'll find teddy bears and all kinds of bunny rabbits dressed up in the colours, in the hedges, out in the shrubbery as well. And everybody just has taken part in what is a carnival atmosphere. And in my estimation, Clare people here outnumber Offaly people by 4-1. And now the welcome for the Taoiseach, Mr. John Bruton, accompanied by Liam Mulvihill. First time here as Taoiseach, of course, for the All-Ireland Hurling final, the Guinness Championship at its conclusion. And what a wonderful setting this is, and I'm sure Taoiseach is certainly going to enjoy it. But today we salute also not just the stars of 1995, but the men of yesteryear who graced this arena 25 years ago with action like this.
This is also the first All-Ireland Hurling final played under sponsorship, under the sponsorship of Guinness. And it's a very special day for RT as well. A very much extended coverage, 11 cameras pointed at the action here this afternoon for your entertainment. Let me go back again to my panel of Ger Hegarty and DJ Carey. Ger Hegarty, you fancy Clare to win this final?
Yes, I do, Michael. I think Clare have come through the tougher side of the draw. They've beaten Cork along the way, they've beaten Limerick and they've beaten Galway, 3 of the stronger teams in the country. Limerick had been in the final last year. We certainly fancied our chances of getting back here today. Clare came out and gave us, you know, were more than convincing winners in the Munster final. But, you know, the reason I fancy them is, I mean, they have exceptional levels of fitness, and right throughout the team, you know, they have a very workman-like team. And the 15 very solid players who will perform today, or will be doing their utmost to perform today. They will work for themselves and for one another. But on top of that, on top of the 15 players that they have, they've got 5 or 6 guys inside there who have that extra touch of class that I think you will need in a team to win an All-Ireland. And I'm thinking, of course, of David Fitzgerald in goal. I'm thinking of James O'Connor and the Sparrow Loughlin up front. I'm thinking of Brian Lohan, obviously, who's been outstanding all year. And I think most of all, I would think of Liam Doyle, who in my mind has been Clare's most outstanding player this year.
DJ, from an Offaly point of view, they might claim something of the same credentials, because before this year's championship, everyone fancied you, Kilkenny, to take that title. That's
right, Michael. We went into it, especially after the league, as hot favourites, but Offaly had other things on their mind, and they beat us fairly well in the Leinster final. Although they haven't been impressive before that and after that, really, you know, so their form is a little bit up and down. Sure. I'd fancy Offaly purely on beating us, really, and it might be just simple as that, you know. They may not be as good as that, and they may be better. Sure. But certainly on that performance, they can be very good.
Sure. Where would you see the biggest threat for Clare today? Is it just the fact that it's a big final, a big occasion for them?
Yes, of course. I mean, the occasion itself will be a huge threat in itself for Clare, and the fact that I hope they settle, and I hope they settle early, and I hope the day isn't too big for them in themselves. On the field of play, I think their 6 backs will have to be extremely tight on the 6 forwards, on the 6 Offaly forwards. But in particular, their half forward line have a huge job today. They must not allow the Offaly half back line to dominate the game and to supply the type of ball that the Offaly forwards have been thriving on today. If the 3 half forwards for Clare can get on top and stay on top, I think that will be a huge sector to be winning.
Well, gentlemen, it will all be revealed in the next hour or so here at Croke Park. The teams are due out into the field very shortly. Looking down through the programme, and my goodness, what a shout there's going to be for the players of Clare when they come out. However, it will be the All-Ireland champions Offaly who are due out on the pitch first. Let's go back again to Ger Canning.
Yes, there's a great deal of nervous tension down in the dressing room areas, has been since about 2:30. Offaly were the first in here. Eamon Cregan was telling me it's not quite as bad as it was last year. They got some of the nerves out at that particular stage. And there's the battery of camera people. One of them missing is Des Barry, indisposed, but if I know Des, and I do know very well, he won't be indisposed for long, and he's wished well by all his fellow cameramen. There they are to get the best possible pictures. Let's hope it doesn't rain on that particular gentleman's shoulders. It continues to look a little bit ominous, but there's a wonderful splash of saffron and blue around 3/4 of the ground, or so it seems. And of course the Offaly fans packed into Hill 16. Who will it be in this year's All-Ireland Championship, the final of the 108th Championship? We've already had one All-Ireland champion this weekend. That's Michael Duxie Walsh of Kilkenny. He won his 11th successive All-Ireland 60-by-30 handball last night. And first into the fray, it's the defending All-Ireland champions from Offaly, bidding to be the first team from the faithful county to put All-Ireland titles back to back. David Hughes, the goalkeeper, moving through there. The build-up in the Midlands, of course, has been just as exciting as in Clare, if a little bit more low-key. Or will that be a help for the Johnny Pilkington captain team and Eamon Cregan coached, of course? Croke Park very much a home from home for this Offaly side, going to have the photographs taken straight away. Will their greater experience, allied to their undoubted talents, be enough to see them through this afternoon? And the answer will begin to unfold between now and 5 o'clock. Johnny Pilkington there in the centre, Brian Wheelahan there, Michael Duignan moving through, goalkeeper David Hughes playing in his first All-Ireland final, Dáithí Regan there as well, and the substitutes, last year's captain Martin Hannamy there, just bending forward along with Johnny. Like greyhounds out of the traps, they're ready to move out as quickly as possible. And a check on the team, the Offaly selectors opt for one positional switch from the semi-final. Michael Duignan and Joe Dooley switch positions. Clearly Duignan's power and mobility will be used in an attempt to unruffle the composure of Clare's Liam Doyle, while Joe Dooley's cunning could unnerve cornerback Michael O'Halloran. Indeed, the Dooley brothers in the forward line are joined by a second cousin at full forward. That's Pat O'Connor, the goal poacher in last year's final. And the men that they have on the bench, very, very impressive as well, as we know only too well. Players like Brendan Kelly and Declan Pilkington that they can bring at any stage. And Gary Cahill and Joe Erity among the backs. Jim Troy, of course. His brother John is the centre forward. Jim, the sub-goalkeeper there, number 16. And my goodness, there is plenty of talent at Eamon Cregan's disposal. So the surface continuing to dry more and more and more. And hopefully we'll be in for a right good afternoon. Hubert Rigney here. He's been a fair bit of coaching down in Offaly of late, I understand. He coached the St. Rynagh's under-14s to win the county championship a couple of weeks back. So if they're looking for a manager in a few months' time, or even in a few years' time, who knows, Hubert might be one of the names that people will be thinking about. Hubert playing in his 8th championship match this afternoon. And here's Johnny Dooley. Johnny scored 8 points in 1989 in the minor final against Clare. How he has tormented teams time and again over the years. His clash this afternoon with Anthony Daly, the Clare captain, is one we're looking forward to. And now I sense, with the noise in the background as we watch Brian Wheelahan, hurler of the year last year, the Clare fans are just waiting and waiting. 63 years, Pat O'Connor, the full forward this afternoon for Offaly. They're used to being here. Michael Duignan, the various officials here, waiting. And now the moment all Clare has waited for, and probably 30 other counties as well. Anthony Daly of the Clare Castle Magpies leads out the bannermen. This is the warmest welcome any team is likely to get in Croke Park. A deafening ovation, a sea of saffron and blue. A year that commenced with optimism has gone on to produce concrete rewards and results. There was a place in the league final, a first Munster win for 63 years. And Conor Clancy and company now looking for a first All-Ireland since 1914. Young and old alike are proclaiming heroes. The hype has been unsurpassed. I mentioned Clare Castle. Every window seemed to have colourful teddies and buntings and flags. The chemist shop were offering saffron and blue products. Brides-to-be were being offered a choice of saffron and blue dresses. Anthony Daly coming across here. For the players, of course, the difficult task of putting aside the sense of occasion. The Clare mentors resist the temptation to make changes, relying instead on the same 15 that began the Munster final and All-Ireland semi. This means that Brian Lohan marshals the defence from full back, and team captain, of course, Anthony Daly, left half back. It's Ollie Baker and Jamesy O'Connor in the midfield, and all and sundry hope for another bumper harvest of goals from the likes of Stephen McNamara and Ger, better known as the Sparrow, O'Loughlin. So Clare's subs, and I can tell you there's been a very late addition to the Clare substitute list. Not on, or is it on there? It isn't. Number 25 is going to be Eamon Tapp, I've just been told, and he could come in at full forward. Did so well, of course, in the league series, but has been down with injury ever since. But what about that? Cyril Lyons, Jim McInerney, Alan Neville, any of them could come on and play their part in this All-Ireland final for 1995. There's PJ O'Connell there in the centre, Liam Doyle, the smashing wing half-back who's been outstanding this year, Jamesy O'Connor, Fergal Hegarty there as well. That's Stephen McNamara. The fair hair there will be covered up with a black helmet very shortly. Brian Lohan and his brother Frank there. In between them was Michael O'Halloran, the right corner back. Davy Fitzgerald. They break away. And it's the Clare team who goes down towards their fans at the canal end. Every vantage point taken up, good and bad. Nobody wants to miss a second of what we hope will be a gripping All-Ireland final. But there is so much tension, so much expectation about. And those lucky enough to get the precious little passes, the tickets that saw them in here to see this final. And some familiar music in the background as we watch Liam Doyle, who initiates a lot of Clare attacks with his clearances down the middle. He's having a great year and returns to Croke Park for a second All-Ireland medal. Remember, his first was 2 years ago, that at junior level. Aha, the Indians have come here as well. And we know that the Biddy Early Bowron beaters are somewhere up in the canal section as well. PJ O'Connell, known as Fingers to one and all, really revelled in the vast open spaces of Thurles, where he was able to make runs at opponents. But it'll be a bit more difficult, I sense, here. Brian Lohan here of the Wolf Tone Stop playing in his 9th championship match, and he's had a wonderful year so far. I'm sure he agrees. Man, a few words, I think. Every manner of headgear being used. That's Ollie Baker there. Interesting this afternoon, the two midfielders for Clare come from the same club, St. Joseph Dura Bearfield, and the two midfielders for Offaly come from the same club. That's from the All-Ireland champions from Burr. Has that ever happened before, I wonder, in an All-Ireland senior decider? Well, so much depends on Jamesy O'Connor. Bye-bye Biddy. Yes, the curse has been well and truly laid to rest. And I mentioned the Bowron beaters doing a solo act here. I'm sure the rest of the ensemble are up there behind her. And while it's all about Clare so far, let's not forget Johnny Pilkington and his wonderful Offaly team. Disappointed, I'm sure, that his brother Declan isn't part of the starting 15, but he's one of the options open to Eamon Cregan as well. What a year this fellow's had. He captained Burr to the All-Ireland Club Championship back here in March. In fact, I think it nearly went into April. It was a replay, of course, and the Yabba Dabba Dooley clan had done well also, coming back here to claim another Leinster title. Anthony Daly on the right, Johnny Pilkington on the left. And in the centre, referee Dickie Murphy taking charge of his second All-Ireland senior final. One of the very best officials in the game. His two linesmen today will be Willie Barrett and Pat Delaney. And who's got the call? It's Johnny Pilkington. So Offaly won the toss. And the little slip of paper is handed over. 6'2", eyes of blue, and Daithí Regan's after you. Tremendous points in the country. And this, of course, Tomás Mulcahy, one of the toughest parts of the day for the players, trying to get rid of the nerves.
That's right, Ger, and obviously the players themselves will be very glad to get out on the field and get a few pucks into play.
Agus Anish, Teach den Ucht Roin, President Mary Robinson, accompanied by the President of Common Luke Glasgow, Mr. Jack Boothman. Part of the ceremonial here on All-Ireland Final Day. The old stand and the new, packed to the seams, literally. About 66,000 people here. Don't have an official attendance just yet. But the Offaly players quickly then in on the left-hand side to meet the President of Ireland. And they're becoming a little bit more familiar with this, of course. Big screen in the background, what they call in Dublin the big telly. And first it'll be Johnny Pilkington, the Offaly captain, looking composed to introduce his teammates, starting with goalkeeper David Hughes. Shane McGuckin there alongside, and Kevin Keenahan, whose grandfather was a champion world cyclist and cycled around Croke Park in the early years of this century in the old Tarleton Games. Kevin Martin and Daithí Regan. There's Johnny Dooley. And moving right along the line to Michael Dignan. Billy Dooley gets married next Saturday, so a big occasion for him. And Joe Dooley bidding to be the first Offaly man to win 3 All-Ireland senior medals. They're very much the favourites, skilled craftsmen. Now Dickie Murphy introducing his 2 linesmen, Pat Delaney on the left and Willie Barrett from Tipperary on the right. And then Anthony Daly, first time in 63 years that Clare reached the All-Ireland final. And the huge cheer now. President meeting Brian Lohan and his brother Frank there alongside him. Liam Doyle then next, and that's Sean McMahon. Jamesy O'Connor's in there with Ollie Baker. That's Fergie Toohey, PJ O'Connell, Fergal Hegarty. And then meeting Stephen McNamara, Conor Clancy the full forward, and also Ger the Sparrow O'Loughlin.
And so as the ceremonies are almost completed here at Croke Park, we must take a quick commercial break. We're back after that with the All-Ireland hurling final. The parade of the teams is underway. About 3 minutes to the All-Ireland hurling final of 1995, of which our big match commentators will be Ger Canning and Tomás Mulcahy.
It's an absolutely tremendous spectacle. Uniquely Irish, it has to be said. Up on Hill 16, there's a mix. Some of the Clare fans up there along with the Offaly following. But throughout the ground absolutely packed to capacity. And it seemed that Offaly there were a little bit more focused. Look at them, heads down, looking right ahead. Some of the Clare players from time to time looking about or passing water around from one to the other. It's difficult to separate the hype that's always there from the match itself. The Sparrow trying to concentrate all his energies. And they break from the parade. And at this final today, we're about to honour the memory of those who died in the Great Famine, which ravaged our nation 150 years ago. 1 million died of hunger and starvation. 1 million left these shores after what was a watershed in Irish history. The players lining up in a huddle. Clare on the left-hand side. Offaly, in fact, going into their positions. Just once the music ends on the public address, we will commemorate the Great Famine.
We commemorate this year the 150th anniversary of the Great Famine. In memory of the many people who died here in Ireland and in foreign lands, let us stand and pause for a moment's silence in prayerful remembrance. Solas na bhlachas dóibh go léir.
There's colour, there's excitement, there's everything we could wish for on the first Sunday in September. A quick check on the Offaly side. Unchanged, just that positional switch involving Michael Dignan, number 12, and Joe Dooley. Unchanged, that is, from the semi-final. And likewise, Clare going into this final with the same 15 that won through against Galway. Brian Lohan, the strong man in the full-back line. Jamesy O'Connor, the number 8, very much to look out for in midfield. The referee then is Dickie Murphy, and all of his umpires coming from the Rapparees Club down in Wexford. John Tyrrell, Paul Shiggins, Morgan Murphy and Paddy Buckley as the match gets underway. And Offaly, of course, who won the toss, playing from left to right in the first half. Straight away it's Joe Dooley. Johnny Dooley, his brother, in pursuit over there. Ball knocked away by Ollie Baker. Straight as far as Dáithí Regan. Here's the first chance, and there's the first point. Clare were chasing in packs there, but this man was left unmarked and an easy point.
Yes, a great start for Offaly, you know, and that's something that Clare can probably do out at this stage, you know. The early tension is bound to be there, and they'll be hoping to keep Offaly down to the bare minimum for the next 5 or 10 minutes.
Davy Fitzgerald holding up the ball because there's an injury here to Ollie Baker. And Jerry Loughnane out there, along with the team doctor, who's Conor Fanning. And an eye injury, which he sustained in the very first minute of this match. Doesn't look particularly serious. Let's hope it isn't. Perhaps just a flesh wound. And there we have Derry O'Donovan on the right-hand side, and of course Eamon Cregan, both of them from Limerick, and Derry in charge of the physical preparation. So much has been said about Clare's superiority in terms of fitness. Don't be kidded. Offaly are just as fit, I think.
I would think so, Jerry, you know, and Clare themselves will be determined to get a very, very good start today, you know. They've had a lot of pressure over the last maybe week, 2 weeks, and today if they can get off to a good start, I think they're in a very good chance.
Little or no breeze around. That a tribute, I think, to the heavy rain we had earlier on. Great dropping ball there, won by Hubert Rigney. Winning that first ball with himself and PG O'Connell. That's Liam Doyle firing it downfield. David Hughes out quickly. The hand pass outside to Kevin Keenahan. Knocking aside all would-be challengers. Still Keenahan dispossessed magnificently over there by Conor Clancy. Picked up here by Stephen McNamara. Trying to make some headway in the deafening noise of Croke Park. There's support. But he's closed down quickly by Brian Wheelahan. Backup support here from the Sparrow. Did he cross over the end line? He did, and the umpire there waving at the referee saying, I was flagging it wide. But an encouraging attack there. The umpire, the one who waved that one wide.
I think the umpire there had his hand up for 65, and Dickie Murphy changed his mind for him, I think, and gave a wide ball.
David Hughes from St. Rynagh's in Banagher. Down through the centre. John Troy tussling for it. Sean McMahon. It comes out as far as Johnny Dooley. And the whistle has sounded. The referee's got in there, and he's having a word with Brian Lohan and also with Pat O'Connor. First clash which he didn't appreciate. It's Pat O'Connor who's deemed the more guilty party. It's going to be a Clare free. Davy Fitzgerald coming to take it, and Pat O'Connor wants another stick. Dickie always on top of the game, and a switch straight away with Joe Dooley coming back to left half forward and Michael Dignan going into top of the left. It's a long, long free. PG O'Connell got a stick to it. Likewise Fergie Toohey. Hubert Rigney waiting there with Dáithí Regan, comes out instead towards Ollie Baker, drops it down to PG O'Connell. How a point would settle down this team, but he can't produce it. That's another wide, a second of the game so far.
Yes, Gerald, I think we're in for some very interesting duels today. We have Anthony Daly on Johnny Dooley, we have PG O'Connell versus Hubert Rigney, you have James O'Connor and Johnny Pickleton, and you have Brian Lohan versus Pat O'Connor. There's going to be some very, very big duels there.
Especially when Clare depends so much on Jamesy O'Connor. Can he engineer something out of midfield for them? Dáithí Regan breaks it down, but it comes instead to a Clare player who's fouled, and Clare concerned is Dáithí Regan fouling Fergal Hegarty. Free to the Banner County. Anthony Daly will take it. A huge one. Looks very good indeed. Drops right in there. Kevin Keenan touches away with a stick. Comes back out towards Kevin Martin. Martin, the left half back, relieving the danger. Up towards Joe Dooley, has made the switch, as we told you just a moment ago, with Michael Duignan darting away from the challenges. A high ball dropping down out of the clouds. They wait inside for it. Billy Dooley, his brother, beaten for it by Frank Lowen. And incoming here is Johnny Dooley outside towards Billy. Billy Dooley pursued and challenged by Frank Lowen and Brian. But he still has enough room to swing the stick, and he puts it over the bar. Billy Dooley's first point, a second for Offaly. And they've settled down much, much better. Perhaps showing the experience of the big occasion here at Croke Park.
Yes, sure, that was great play again by Johnny Dooley, you know, to find out, to hand pass the ball out, and a great score by Offaly.
Well, the brothers, of course, have a telepathic understanding with one another, and there are three of them in the Offaly forward line. Here's Dáithí Regan again. A backhanded pass to his midfield ally, who's Johnny Pilkington. Into the corner, too much, however, for Billy Dooley to get onto. From one of the smallest parishes, not just in Offaly, but in Ireland, from Clareen, the home of the Sir Kieran's club, who provide 4 members of this Offaly team. There's about 6 from the Clare Castle club, the Clare Castle Magpies, involved in the Clare panel, including the team captain. Well cut up. PJ O'Connell being beaten for it by Brian Wheelahan. Wheelahan pursuing him. Johnny Pilkington with the shoulder there on Jamesy O'Connor. The hand pass outside towards his midfield partner, Ellery Baker, steadying himself, hit it poorly. A hint of the nerves, I think. Coming back out here towards Fergal Hegarty. Right on the end line. Clare's cohesion is certainly lacking in the early attacks. They haven't settled down at all so far. David Hughes playing in a 5th championship match this afternoon. Still afternoon. Joe Dooley tries to make it his. It runs away from him unkindly, however. Liam Doyle, pressurised the whole time by the wily number 15 rather, playing in the number 12 position now. Pat O'Connor, did he step over the line? And the linesman over there is waving furiously. Linesman over there is Willie Barrett. So a Clare sideline ball. And they need a score to settle.
Yes, sir, they need a score, and I think Offaly, as we said beforehand, have been very focused on their play, you know, and they've shown a very, very determined attitude for the first 5 or 6 minutes.
Well cut up by Liam Doyle. And another sideline ball going to result. Ger Loughnane in the background over there, encouraging Willie Barrett to make sure that it's going to be a Clare sideline ball. Protests all around. There's great experience and great craft in this Offaly team. They're not All-Ireland champions for nothing. So the Bowrons in the background, encouraging Liam Doyle as he whips it in towards PJ O'Connell. Breaks back out here to Johnny Pilkington, the Offaly captain once again. Fergie Toohey lashing it across here for Fergal Hegarty to run after. Brian Wheelahan beating him. Touchdown by Frank Lowen. Here's Lowen, younger of the 2 brothers, sons of Gus. Batted down, missed by Kevin Keenan, comes out to Hubert Rigney. Wonderful craft, excellent skill. Liam Doyle winning the race for possession with Joe Dooley. Jamesy O'Connor, can he fire over the first point? Drops down David Hughes. Oh, he bats it away. He was in trouble there. The forward stayed sufficiently far away from him to allow him to regain. It's going to be a free out. This is what happened here as that ball came down very dangerously. All eyes on the ball, fumbled, and then nursed away out of the danger zone. Remember Jim Troy having some problems as well against Limerick last year. It's a very nervous position to play. I suppose they all are. You've played in 5 All-Ireland finals.
That's right, sure, and everyone was as nervous as the last one.
Sure it is. Sean McMahon misses that one, but assisting him in his great full-back there, Brian Lowen. What a year he's having. 65 metres out from his own goal, he leaves the ball behind. Johnny Pilkington's shot is blocked by Sean McMahon. Hand passed outside to Anthony Daly. Just 2 points to show then for the opening 9 minutes. All scores going to Offaly, the All-Ireland champions. PJ O'Connell unable to profit by that pass. It's Dáithí Regan instead. Joe Dooley effectively missing it. Comes back here instead to Ollie Baker. Trying to pass it forward to PJ O'Connell. Intercepted. Johnny Dooley back in there. And they're whipping at it furiously. Comes to PJ O'Connell. Dashes away from the challenge. The hand pass. A little bit long. Fergal Hegarty did well to keep it moving inside. And here's the Sparrow. Gerry Loughlin without the hurley. Tight challenges coming in. That's Brian Wheelahan. And really the number 12 is going to have to try and put the shackles on Brian Wheelahan if he can, and that's going to be so difficult. Sean McMahon, there's the shot and it's gone over the bar. Sean McMahon, the first Clare player to score in an All-Ireland final for 63 years. It's 2 points to 1, and are they happy? Well, I think they'll feel if they can keep it nice and tight, anything is possible. That ball came out a long distance beyond Jamesy O'Connor, out as far as the centre-half back, Seanie McMahon, and he drove it with determination over. Now let's see if that can settle down the Banner County. Here's Liam Doyle, getting up such great length into it. Instead it's Johnny Pilkington in midfield, going towards the right. Just the first wide for Offaly. They're usually very good at using possession. Tension etched on every one of those faces, I think. Davy Fitzgerald in his 13th championship match. Will it be 13th and lucky at that? Down towards Fergal Hegarty again. Does well to get out ahead of Brian Wheelahan. Could be a vital tussle if he can somehow limit the effectiveness of Offaly's number 5 as we watch the Sparrow run in after that dropping ball, dropped by Martin Hannamy and out over the end line. This time it is a 65, no doubt about it. Some anxious moments there for Martin Hannamy. This is as the ball dropped into the waiting arms there of Fergal Hegarty. Sean McMahon got, I think, 3 or 4 points in the National League final. 2 points so far in the campaign in the championship. This to tie it up. It looks okay. It's over the bar. The sides are level. Clare making a full recovery from the 65 of Sean McMahon. Who would have guessed he'd be their only scorer after 12 minutes? Here's the puck out. Baker against Regan, 2 strong, tall, physically imposing men. And the linesman here is going to throw the ball in. A little uncertainty as to who touched it last. Pat Delaney. And really they're all, that's the rest of them, supposed to be 13 metres back. But Anthony Daly and Johnny Dooley, the 2 most keenly concerned. Won by Anthony Daly, back however as far as Brian Wheelahan. Touched on there by Michael Duignan, but comes to Sean McMahon. Across towards Fergie to his corner, runs on towards Stephen McNamara. McNamara against Martin Hannamy. Hannamy doing well. Comes out here to Johnny Pilkington, who does so much selfless running back and forth, and it's going to be a Clare free. Michael Duignan then, a look of displeasure on his face. And we've got some sideline news from Tony O'Donoghue. Tony.
The Offaly dugout are a bit worried at this stage, Ger, I can tell you. They've been talking to their half-forward line of Dooley and Troy, telling them to get out as far as the midfield, try and make some space inside for the full forward line.
Sounds like a firm of solicitors, Dooley and Troy. McMahon the taker. Runs on in towards the man they call Fingers, but he can't get a touch on it. But it'll be a Clare sideline ball.
It's interesting to hear that, Joe, because Seanie McMahon certainly has turned it into the game at centre-back for Clare, you know, and the half-back line has been their inspiration all year as well, you know, and if they can dominate there and if they can keep Johnny Dooley especially quiet in the half-forward line, I think Clare are in a very, very good chance.
Gerry Loughlin, his first occasion to be involved, of course, as player or mentor in an All-Ireland final. Eamon Cregan played in 3 All-Ireland finals. Ollie Baker cuts it in. Is that the lead? It is! Clare in front. Recovered from injury, and he slots it over the bar. So we've had a point from play, a point from a 65, and a point from a sideline. No wonder they're happy. They lead by 3 points to 2. Out quickly taken. Now let's see whether that half-forward line can get going for Offaly. Runs on here towards Michael Duignan. operating at top of the left, marked by Michael O'Halloran. And it's going to be an Offaly sideline ball, or rather a Clare sideline ball. A word there from Eamon Cregan to Michael Duignan. Perhaps they feel they can benefit by Duignan's presence in there against Michael O'Halloran, who's been talked about as a weakness, but nobody's cleaned them out in any match so far. Liam Doyle towards PJ O'Connell, picked up instead here by a determined Daithí Regan. The hand pass, expecting somebody to come its way, and it's going to be an Offaly free for that foul on the well-built Daithí Regan. Not an easy man to put down. And this wasn't Bruno against McCall either. Down he went. Freshening breeze and indications in the background that the rain that we feared is about to materialise. Those seats there in the front of the new stand, quite open. Gerlach Nan there with Tony Considine, two of the triumvirate, along with Mike McNamara, of course. Johnny Dooley then, his side trailing by just a point. Free just outside the 65-metre line. Whipped in with good direction, stopped by Davy Fitzgerald. Good save by the Clare custodian. Long delivery of ball down towards Fergie Toohey. PJ O'Connell, they're working really hard, each and every one of the Clare players. They've settled to the task now well. This is well won by Kevin Keenahan. Indestructible, comes out, whips it to the middle of the field towards Johnny Dooley. Had his support outside with Johnny Pilkington, opted instead to go more direct. Brian Lohan going very low to pick that one up against Pat O'Connor. Almost stumbled. Hand pass towards his team captain, John Troy. Hasn't really got into the match so far against Anthony Daly here. Hegarty beaten for it, that's Hubert Rigney. Standing well. Doyle leaving it behind there to James O'Connor to pick up. The young school teacher from St. Flannan's in Ennis. Sparrow O'Loughlin, outnumbered, but still managing to get it out as far as PG O'Connell. Oh, diagonally across, deceiving most of them. Stephen McNamara having to go back for it. Remember the goal he got against Galway. Turning there against Martin Hannamy, got a nice little block on it. They waited inside, but the ball never came. Hannamy, little block also from McNamara. Johnny Pilkington out as far as Kevin Martin. Martin from Tullamore in County Offaly. Look at the work of Johnny Pilkington here. It often goes unrecognised. Good ball down, and they're running in for it here. And Duignan just didn't manage to keep the ball in play, however, but there was a touch, and it's gone for a 65. Offaly's first 65 of the match. This was a good save here by Davy Fitzgerald, chest tie, taking it down with confidence and then away from the full forward. Son of the county secretary, the genial Pat Fitzgerald, of course, who's been inundated with requests for tickets like Christy taught his opposite number in Offaly over the last 4 weeks. Johnny Dooley will be the taker. Can he level up proceedings here? That looks okay, it's over the bar, and they're level. Johnny Dooley's first point in this match coming from the 65, and it's even Steven here after about 18 minutes of the first half.
It's very interesting though, Ger, that both defences are really on top, you know, and there's no real pattern of play developed yet at this stage, and both teams will probably be looking for a greater return from their forwards.
Brian Whelan is injured as he comes down with a hand injury. Play continuing. The back line again of Offaly here, asked a few questions of, and it's Kevin Martin who responds, but only out as far as James O'Connor. Fumbled initially, first touch wasn't good. Johnny Pilkington working all over the field to Joe Dooley. Joe the provider in towards the inside forward line. Brian Lohan there, challenged by Pat O'Connor, kicking it away from the danger zone. Lohan's on the ground, that's going to be a free. Tempers heating just a little bit, very much in the heat of the battle. But Brian Lohan was full of awareness that time, wonderfully composed in all of his actions. Deserving of all the accolades that he's received this season, starting back in the league final against Kilkenny when he was deemed man of the match. This was the challenge. Sean McMahon's free. Hubert Rigney out there first time. Johnny Pilkington ready to pull on it. Here's Liam Doyle, the wing back. Offaly will be hoping to close down on him a little bit more because he initiates so many good attacks. Ollie Baker racing. Hubert Rigney also in the race. That's a good block down by Hubert. Won back by Ollie Baker, but he picked the ball off the ground. And it's a free to Offaly. This is the incident once again as he went down. Claims, I feel, that the ball was just a little bit elevated. Referee not interested. Brian Wheelahan today playing in a 14th championship match, man of the match in last year's final, of course. So about 15 minutes to go to half-time. As Tomas Mulcahy was saying, each forward line really struggling to come to terms with this match so far. Ollie Baker, Johnny Pilkington certainly the decisive factor around midfield. Michael Duignan, there's a block on that one as well. Joe Dooley racing in there against Michael O'Halloran. Now can he slip in by the back door? He's won a free from the 20-metre line. Disappointment for O'Halloran of 6 Mile Bridge. Well, certainly when Joe Dooley takes on defenders, he's very difficult to dispossess. And over he went that time.
That's right, Joe. You can see the defender there with a hand on top of his back, you know, and it was a definite free.
He doesn't agree, mind you. What would you expect him? Johnny Dooley, a point so far, that from a 65. And this to restore Offaly's lead. The jeers ringing in his ears. Clare fans on the canal end. But it's over the bar. Johnny making no mistake. He very rarely does. So 2 points from frees and Offaly are back in front again. And there's Brendan Moore there in the centre, the chairman of the Offaly County Board, Joachim Kelly, Podge Mulher there also, Andy Gallagher back towards the left-hand side of that group. Pilkington missing it on this occasion. Now PJ O'Connell. Clare hoping to use possession a bit more, hoping to work a bit harder perhaps inside there and cause problems for the Offaly backs. Here's Fergie Toohey, shortened the grip on the stick. Hubert Rigney puts out that stick, doesn't manage to stop it completely. Ollie Baker, one of the point scorers. Well, stalemate situation eventually broken up. John Troy gets good length into it, away from Sean McMahon, trying to feed the wings. Billy Dooley racing for that, but this is won by Frank Lohan. Cross towards Fergie Toohey again, putting Kevin Martin under pressure, responded well. Johnny Pilkington having difficulty taking up initially. The hand pass towards Hubert Rigney, playing very solidly at centre half back. The same towards the corner. Michael Duignan trying to slip inside his man there. But that's going to be a Clare sideline ball. Mike McNamara there and David Cregan exchanging a few pleasantries. I wonder will Mike McNamara be on Eamon Cregan's Christmas list for a Christmas card this year? All very much the heat of the occasion. Coaches certainly and selectors have done so well this year to bring their team to this final. PJ O'Connell didn't get any length in that one. Kevin Martin instead whipping it away. Offaly trying to play more first time, more direct hurling. But here's Frank Lohan. Touched by Brian Wheelahan, kept it away there well from the Sparrow, who hasn't really got into this match. Wheelahan is held, it's going to be a free for Offaly. Conor Clancy here from Kilmaley. Also a very useful footballer, as they were telling me over the last couple of weeks. There are a number of options, of course, for Clare in the full forward line, notably Cyril Lyons, Jim McInerney, if they ever wish to make changes. Kevin Keenahan. John Troy winning that one just about, keeping it moving ahead to Johnny Dooley. Looking for another snapshot and another point, looks great, and it's over the bar. A third point for Johnny Dooley. Just the first from play. And the referee in there again having words with Brian Lohan and with Pat O'Connor. They were following the flight path of the ball. This is what happened as Pat raced in, tumbled over Davy Fitzgerald, and a few words were spoken.
I think there was a few words spoken there. I just think his momentum carried him into the net following in the ball from Johnny Dooley.
But now Offaly take a 2-point lead. And Brian Whelan challenged very high indeed by PJ O'Connell, who's about to have his name taken. So the first booking is to PJ O'Connell. Offaly making some positional switches. Michael Dignan's now gone to top of the right as we watch this challenge again, which was very high, dangerously so, and certainly Brian Whelan felt it. So let's hope now that the game will continue to be played in a good sporting fashion. O'Connell has been warned. Free to Offaly, Brian Whelan the taker. From the centre of the field. Ammunition in for the forwards. Batted down. Comes in instead as far as Davy Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald's huge clearance. Kevin Martin and Fergie Toohey breaking the stick in that collision. And appeals once again, but it's going to be Offaly possession. And down on the field there's an Offaly player. Perhaps something that happened off the ball. It's Joe Dooley who's down injured. Eamon Cregan in very quickly there, along with the various medical people. Just wondered what happened to Joe Dooley as the play was at the other end of the field. The referee has called aside Liam Doyle. Clearly he feels that he was involved. I'm sure his linesmen or umpires have told him. And so now Clare with a second player booked. Doyle joining O'Connell in the referee's notebook. It's getting a bit more physical.
Certainly is, Jerry, you know, and we've seen very little from both forwards, you know, and we'd like to see the game open up a small bit more, and maybe more first-time hurling being played. There's a lot of pulling and dragging at this stage.
Well, just two forwards have scored from play so far, Billy Dooley and Johnny Dooley for Offaly. None of the Clare forwards scoring from play to date. This is caught by Sean McMahon, who's got 2 points for Clare. It's kicked forward there by Joe Dooley, happily recovered. Won't come up there for Michael O'Halloran. Greasy surface following the rain we had here this morning. Joe Dooley racing back for it, won however by Ollie Baker. Across it comes there towards Fergie Toohey. Nice pick up. An angled ball across towards Gerald Loughlin. The forwards looking for possession. And the followers looking for scores. A partial block there by Brian Whelan. Good craftsmanship and good technique. A persistence, however, by the Sparrow, carrying him in there close to Martin Hannamy, struggling to get the ball away, but does so effectively at the end, only as far as Fergie Toohey. Toohey going by Kevin Martin. Tricky angle, he's put it over the bar. Fergie Toohey, the first of the Clare forwards to score, and there's just a point in it. Offaly 5, Clare 4. It's a low enough scoring All-Ireland final. Dáithí Regan getting the measure here of Fergal Hegarty, has moved in towards midfield in a switch with Ollie Baker. That's got over the bar. A point there by John Troy. So once again, Offaly push out the lead. It's now 2 points once again. Young man from Lusma, of course, brother of Jim, who's the sub-keeper for this Offaly panel. Hubert Rigney. PJ O'Connell has now gone in full forward for Offaly, and Conor Clancy is on the 40. Brian Lohan overreaching himself, but clearly the referee says there was some holding, indicting Pat O'Connor. Clare get the free. So far it's been all about atmosphere and occasion. We look for a bit more substance, however. Davy Fitzgerald's long ball dropping right into the inside forward line. O'Connell leaving it there for Stephen McNamara. And it's just gone whizzing past David Hughes' goal. And they had a chance. It feels that it might have been a 65. Here it is once again.
There's a bit of a half chance there, you know, for a shot at goal, and I must say I could have questioned appeals for a 65 as well.
The injury here to Brian Wheelahan. He's certainly been in the wars, a head injury earlier on. The Offaly doctor is Brendan Lee. And Derry O'Donovan in there attending as well with the John's Ambulance people. Ger Loughnane, who's done a wonderful job to bring his side through the Munster Championship, to take that championship and bridge a gap of 63 years. And Eamon Cregan, likewise, one of the great coaches in senior hurling. We won't want to see anything happen to one of his star players, Brian Wheelahan, who limps back into the action. 5 minutes to go to the half-time break. So here's the puck out. Going away to the left half forward position towards Michael Duignan once again, who's back there. Fergie Toohey slipping in the very tricky conditions, showing a clean pair of heels to Johnny Pilkington and also to Michael Duignan. Duignan going back with determination, however. Toohey kicking it back towards a colleague, Ollie Baker. And the last one to touch it was an Offaly man. And one of the switches that Clare often make has materialised once again. Jamesy O'Connor has gone to left half forward, but he's on Brian Wheelahan, struggling with a bit of an injury, but certainly among Offaly's very best defenders. Ollie Baker. Straight to Hubert Rigney. He mops up a whole lot of ball. Always perfectly positioned. Reads the game so well. Likewise, Liam Doyle for Clare. Now Jamesy O'Connor. Can he get some change? Touched inside there. Kevin Martin. Squirms his way around but takes far too many steps, and he says, I was being held. What do you expect me to do? Not at all pleased, but Clare have the chance to draw within a point of Offaly. This is what happened here as Kevin Martin was wriggling his way out of that group of players. Certainly took far too many steps before placing it on the stick. Jamesy O'Connor, should be a relatively easy one for him, and is his first point in this match. That'll do his confidence no end of good. Likewise the Clare following, one between them. 3 minutes to go to half-time.
It's hard to say who's going to be the happier of the teams at this stage, you know. Offaly have managed to kind of lay siege there on Clare's goal for a while without getting too much scores either, you know, so...
But Clare will surely be happy enough not to have been blown out in the opening half an hour.
That's right.
They've lived with Offaly, and here's Fergie Toohey sending in that shot. Goalkeeper David Hughes keeping it in play, putting Liam Doyle under some pressure against Michael Duignan. In Pat O'Connor, John Troy kicking it back to himself there, and to his colleague Liam Doyle was Ollie Baker. Two players under the dropping ball, and that's Conor Clancy. Way out now from his full forward position, playing on the 40. Hubert Rigney, nobody pressurising, that's where Conor Clancy should be. Here's Anthony Daly, swinging around well in typical fashion. Dropped by Doherty Regan initially. Chance now once again to lay siege on the Clare goal. Good hand pass. Michael Duignan motoring in, looking around to see what's on. Stopped, and has it gone over the line? It has! A goal for Offaly. A mistake by David Fitzgerald. Michael Duignan, I think, will take the credit. That with just 2 minutes to go to half-time. A player has had such a wonderful season. Goalkeeper Davy Fitzgerald, I think, deceived a bit by this one. He batted it down and agonisingly over his own end line, and there was no doubt about it. Hadn't made a mistake all through the championship campaign, and it happens in the final. Gerald Loughlin responding quickly. Well, we've seen how goals have turned matches, even in recent Sundays. I'm thinking back to Dublin versus Cork. Will that be a watershed in this particular contest?
That's right, and it's a bit of luck like that that wins All Ireland's for you, you know. And even this shot by Michael Duignan, I would have said myself that he was going to take a point from where he was.
I'm not quite sure whether it was a pass or a shot for a point, but you know where it ended up. Liam Doyle breaking it down, but only as far as John Troy. Good spell this for Offaly. Will they now take full advantage? Well, that's another chance there for Johnny Pilkington. A mention of chances, they've had 11 so far, same number as Clare. And you know the term, a number of scoring chances availed of. Offaly 7, Clare 5, as you can see, top left-hand corner of the screen. So inside the final minute of a tense All-Ireland final, Conor Clancy trying to make amends for that one that crept in there. Fergal Hegarty drops it in and it's gone over the bar. It's the Kilnamona man, Fergal Hegarty, who gets the point. 3 between them. It's nothing in a final. It's nothing in any kind of hurling match. One here by James O'Connor. Alert to the possibilities inside towards Gerald Loughlin. Sweeping aside the challenge there of Shane McGuckin. Here's where they need a score, and he's the provider. The Sparrow finally scores in injury time, and there are just 2 points between these teams. It's anybody's game. They're well aware of it. It's all to play for in the remaining 35 minutes. It's half-time here at Croke Park. Gerald Loughlin finishing very prominently there, getting that final point of the first half. The Clare followers cheering in their team. They're so delighted to be here, but they're very much in this in a meaningful way. In spite of that goal by Michael Dagnan with 2 minutes to go, half-time score, it's Offaly 1-6, Clare 7 points.
Pat Malloughney with me. Pat, you're lucky to be in front, I'd say.
We are. We got a lucky goal there before half-time. They aren't hurling that well, and we got the break, so hopefully we can do something about it at half-time. We're not going that well, not happy enough.
Do you think there'll be changes?
I don't know.
Okay, thank you, Pat.
Pat Malloughney from Coolderry, one of the Offaly selectors, expressing the concern of Offaly at half-time. This All-Ireland final has a long way to go yet. 35 minutes of the second half after this commercial break. The scene at Croke Park at half-time in the senior final, Offaly leading Clare on a scoreline of 1-6 to 7 points. The half-time entertainment with Finbar Wright of the Artane Boys Band and My Lovely Rose of Clare.
Like the pretty flowers that grow, you are the sunshine of my life, so beautiful and fair, and I will always love you, my lovely Rose of Clare.
Rose of Clare for all the Clare people here in Croke Park for the first time in 63 years for a final. Here's one they've heard at Croke Park before, the Offaly Rover.
A rover I must stay, but to that faithful county dear I shall return someday. If how I've missed you with your heather-scented air, silently the peaceful brass
Dunbar, right, accompanied by the Artane Boys Band and also accompanied by some of the Offaly faithful here at Croke Park today. In the presentation box with me, Ger Hegarty and DJ Carey. Ger, you tipped Clare before this match, but you have been impressed by Offaly's more direct style of play.
Yes, Offaly are playing very direct. Emma Cregan's stamp on the game has always been firm and direct play. And that's exactly as they have done from the very start. It's a typical example here. Dahi Regan wins the ball. I think he throws it back here to Johnny Try. He simply throws it over the bar. Very simple and very direct. If you can get the ball over in 2 pucks, so be it. You know, Offaly seem to be getting the scores a little bit easier than Clare. Clare are getting scores, but they're having to work that extra bit hard. But there's only 2 points in it, Michael. It's very close, and I'd say both teams will be very confident at half-time.
DJ, Offaly got a goal as well, of course, that also had a certain era of fortune about it. Let's take a look at this and see what your thoughts on it are.
That's right. Well, as I said in the minor match, it's a very difficult day to control a ball. David Fitzgerald is used to a dry ball for the last 3 months, and on a day like today, it's a wet and heavy one. He comes in, he tries to control it, and it just skids off the hurl. You know, it's a good goal for Offaly, but it came just before half-time, which is a great time to score, but Clare will go in and will be able to settle. You know, if that came 5 or 10 minutes into the second half, there'd be no time to settle, and Offaly could tack on 2 or 3 points, which might put the game out of reach. But now, Clare came back, scored 2 good points, and are still very, very much in the match. So,
DJ, Offaly are back on the field again, just briefly before we go back to the commentary. With 35 minutes to go, who do you fancy?
Well, I stick with Offaly, but I mean, I've been impressed with Clare, especially their half-back line and back-line in general. So I stick with Offaly, but it's only because I went from in the beginning.
Ger, I think you're beginning to change your mind a little.
I'm not actually, Michael. I'm going to stick with Clare. I'm delighted to see James O'Connor going into his best position, which is left half forward, and Fergal Hegarty's gone out to midfield. Already that has made an impression in the sense that Brian Wheelhan in the last 10 minutes went out of the game and James went in there. I'm sticking with Clare. I still think Clare will win in the second half.
Offaly have had some problems around the middle of the field.
Offaly are, I mean, Johnny Pilkinen has been more or less anonymous. You know, he's had 2 chances, 2 shots at goal there all right in the second half, which you'd normally expect him to get, and that he missed. Dahi Regan, you know, he's kind of struggling out there as well. If there's any position in the field at Clare on top, I think it's at midfield. But I don't think Clare have really got going yet. And if they can get going in the second half, and maybe with their fitness in the last 15 minutes, I think it will tell.
Gentlemen, thank you very much again for the moment. So then, well, Clare got a tremendous reception when they came out onto the field before this match. I'm sure their supporters will encourage them once again when they return to the field. In just a moment, let me hand you back again to our commentators, Tomás Mulcahy and Ger Canning.
Yes, plenty of interesting comments there at half-time. Far be it from me to stoke an argument, but do you think Offaly are as much out of it as the panel feel at midfield?
Certainly not, you know, and I mean, you take the last 2 Offaly points that they got, I think you have to give credit to Dahi Regan for getting those scores, and I think Johnny Pickleton has hurled very well there. I mean, they had to take James O'Connor off him and put him into half-forward, and that meant that Johnny Pickleton was on top in his position.
And here comes Anthony Daly then leading Clare back out for the second half. I'm sure Ger Loughnane has had plenty to say to them, given them plenty of encouragement as well. To win the Munster, of course, from their perspective was wonderful, and their fans as well. But to get here to the final, it's a bonus, but now they have to appreciate they're in there with a really good chance. And this player here, James O'Connor, surely is central to their plans if they do, in fact, hope to take the title. Here's Marty.
Ger Loughnane, what did you say to your team at half-time?
Well, we haven't played as well as we could in the first half. However, we've been against the wind. So now the game is going to be won now in the next 35 minutes. And I've just asked him to give him that last ounce for Clare for these 35 minutes.
You think you're going to do it?
We're going to do it.
Prophetic words indeed, perhaps. The wind has whipped up. It's behind Clare for the second 35 minutes. And as you know, 2 between them. There's the position, 1-6 to 7 points. Straight away here is Frank Lohan. Distinguished himself well in the first half. Both sets of backs were really on top of their form. Well, it's Offaly, of course, who got the only goal so far. To what extent do you feel that Clare need to get goals if they're going to win this match?
Yes, they certainly need to get a lot more scores, you know, but what I'd like to see Clare taking the game to Offaly a bit more, you know. They've been a bit laid back. They've let Offaly dictate things a small bit too much at this stage, and certainly the Offaly backs have been very much dominant in the first half.
Solly Baker touching it down, kicked away there by the flying feet of Anthony Daly. One back here by Brian Whelan. Little block down there by P.G. O'Connell this time. O'Connell has started at left half forward on Whelan. Racing out for it is Brian Lohan. And that's a sideline ball. The way they're starting up with the second half, James O'Connor is right half forward, Conor Clancy is centre forward, PJ O'Connell is left half forward for the Clare half forward line, and the Sparrow has now gone into full forward, so switches aplenty. Will they outfox Offaly, however, the All-Ireland champions? Dáithí Regan cuts it in, won by Liam Doyle, takes it away from Joe Dooley, won by Sean McMahon now. McMahon's lengthy clearance towards Conor Clancy, now on the 40, fumbles it. Brian Wheelham takes it up, the Burma. Towards John Troy, touches it down to the waiting Johnny Dooley. Not quite sure if the players are being affected by nerves or by the conditions this afternoon, but there's not any great lengthy pulling of the ball, especially on the ground.
But Offaly have been so good, Gerrard, hooking and blocking, and with the man in possession of taking the ball off him, and they've been very good at that.
And defence for them begins with number 15, really. He puts the corner back under pressure. So difficult to play against. Johnny Pilkington, delightfully up towards Billy Dooley. Breaks down towards Pat O'Connor. Offaly attacking what they would regard as the goal-scoring end, the railway end of Croke Park. Brian Lohan appealing there and winning his free. Put under incessant pressure by this man here, Pat O'Connor of Coolderry. Cousin of the great Pat Carroll. Sadly passed away about 10 years ago. Offaly star of yesteryear. James O'Connor has now, by the way, gone back onto Brian Wheelham once again as we watch Ollie Baker leave it there for PJ O'Connell. Now Conor Clancy running into a dark alley and runs right through there. Pressure here aplenty on the Offaly backs, and it's Kevin Keenahan. Clears it forward as far as Johnny Pilkington. A strong, determined run there by Ollie Baker. Kevin Martin leaves it behind. Here's Baker, here's a chance, and it's gone wide. There was good teamwork there involving PJ O'Connell and Ollie Baker. O'Connell kept Kevin Martin very busy to set up the chance for this man here. Couldn't avail of it. That finishes up being sideline ball to Clare, although wasted possession from the puck out there from David Hughes. Clare following now, having enjoyed the occasion so far. I'm sure the players would want him to get right behind and to raise the rafters, as it were. Here's Anthony Daly. Kevin Martin misses it, runs on towards Stephen McNamara. Wonderful pick-up. Stopped initially. Hubert Rigney back there, playing a very thoughtful game, out by Martin Hannamy. Now Dáithí Regan. Good ball forward, diagonally so to Pat O'Connor. Brian Lohan put under pressure. Likewise Michael O'Halloran. And here comes Pat O'Connor once again. Down at the goal where he scored a goal in last year's All-Ireland final against Limerick. Pressure really in there on the Clare back line. And Brian Lohan keeping a cool head. And the hooks and the blocks so effective there. Here's Billy Dooley. This is Offaly in full flight, making life so awkward if you're a cornerback or a fullback. Here's Brian Lohan, Frank Lohan, through the centre here to Conor Clancy. Didn't get much length in it. Martin Hannamy for Offaly. Back down into space. There are two Offaly players there waiting for it, but likewise Ali Baker runs on to Joe Dooley. Outside to John Troy. Troy from the 45-metre line. That's a good chance, and he's missed it. A rueful look there on the face of young John Troy, minor goalkeeper when these counties clashed in 1989 in the All-Ireland minor final. Davy Fitzgerald's puck out, right through the centre, broken down by Conor Clancy to Ollie Baker, pursued by Johnny Pilkington, fed inside towards the Sparrow, now at full forward. Can't get through, however. Keenahan and Martin Hannamy here have been busy, but that's good stick work by Stephen McNamara, and it ends up being a 65. Clever work by the Clare number 13. And coming right across there was the other man in that full-back line, Shane McGuckin. Well, he'll want to make up for the disappointing day he had last year against Damien Quigley in the All-Ireland final against Limerick, and he did so well there, sweeping right across the line. Here's the 65. Sean McMahon's got one so far, looking for his third point. to put just one between them. High up into the air, measured well, and over the bar. Another 65 for the king of the 65, Sean McMahon. 1 point the margin, and the fabulous Bearfield boys with the flag up there. St. Joseph's from Dura Bearfield. One of their players, of course, Sean McMahon. Ollie Baker there. Baker also from the same club. Hegarty knocking it through to Conor Clancy. He's got a new lease of life out at centre half forward. David Hughes knocking it back defiantly. Joe Dooley watching the flight path of the ball, but it's won instead by Liam Doyle. A marvellous wing back for Clare. Into space, trying to cause some problems, and they do. Stephen McNamara looking for the equaliser, and it's gone to the left. A look of resignation, I think, on Stephen McNamara's face. This grandson of the great late Jackie Power of Limerick, of course, who won 2 All-Ireland hurling medals. And of course his uncle Joe won 8 with the Kerry footballers, and he was close there to getting his first point in this match. Indications there on the far side that Declan Pilkington is getting ready, and Eamon Cregan, I think, is ready to take remedial action. Michael Duignan now has gone to full forward in a switch with Pat O'Connor. Likewise Declan Pilkington is still over there preparing to come in, perhaps. Here's his brother Johnny, the team captain, getting it away from Ollie Baker. Fed on magnificently there by Dáithí Regan. Brian Lohan again first to the ball. Michael Duignan is the latest we put in there at full forward. Here's Liam Doyle, nicely swung in there towards the Sparrow. Keenahan, that's tremendous full back play. Not a very long clearance, but effective nonetheless. Out from Johnny Pilkington to Joe Dooley. Now John Troy. Pat O'Connor has lost the stick, but he held his balance. He was fouled, and he gets the free in. And it's Michael O'Halloran going back there to remonstrate with the referee. This is just a moment ago here, a magnificent illustration of high fetching by a determined fullback in top form.
That was a great play by Kevin Keenan, and he's certainly dominant around the square there for Offaly.
You may remember the day in the league, it's a semi-final against Kilkenny, and DJ, one of our panellists today, had a very bad afternoon, but my goodness, he's come back really strongly. That's Johnny Dooley, and that's a 4th point. And now 2 between them once again. There's been that little 2-point gap for most of this match. Ollie Baker is in trouble once again, down here in the centre of the field. And the ankle is certainly causing some problems. Ollie, who came on in the first championship match of the season in the semi-final of the Munster against Cork, did so well, credited with the goal, of course, that won it for Clare at the very end of that game. Ollie's back in the middle of the field. Both counties feel they're in with a real chance. Loughnane, you can be certain, feels they're there. You heard him say, we'll win it. Will they? 25 minutes or thereabouts still to go. That's won again by Dáithí Regan. He's playing a tremendous match out of midfield. On there for Michael Duignan, trying to push Brian Lohan out of his way. Fed inside for John Troy, but the hand pass was not perfectly executed, and Troy was just moving ahead of the ball, and it's Liam Doyle who makes the clearance. That's wonderfully caught by Brian Wheelahan. Down into the corner. Billy Dooley beaten for it by Frank Lohan. He's played really well. Anthony Daly giving leadership. Downfield towards Stephen McNamara, in over his head, and it's Kevin Keenahan again who comes from behind, makes another great clearance with the left hand, holds on securely.
I think a worrying thing from the Offaly point of view, Ger, is that they've got an awful lot of possession up front, but very little return from that bit of possession that they had in the second half, you know. And Clare are very much still in this game. There's a long way to go, and if it stays the scores like this, you know, we're in for a very, very tense last 10-15 minutes.
Yes, it sounds very simplistic, but as long as it stays as tight as this, the underdogs from Clare are in there with a real chance. PJ O'Connell towards Jamesy O'Connor. So influential, so important. Fergal Hegarty, great block down. Kevin Martin in there again, trying to limit the effectiveness of the half forward. It gets in as far as Conor Clancy. Clancy now back in at full forward again because Kevin Keenan had begun to lord it, and there's a shot that is put over the bar by Fergie Tui. A second point for the Clare Castle man. Clare edge within a point of the All-Ireland champions. Well, we talked about the Clare fans being everywhere and anywhere. They look like they've got about half Hill 16 as well. They must have been printing their own tickets.
Yes, and Eamon Cregan has been in there having a word with Michael Dignan over that last hand pass that he took. I reckon he would have felt he should have put the ball over the bar.
Here's Brian Lohan. So who's it to be in the 1995 Guinness All-Ireland final? Liam Doyle, there's a lovely block again there by Joe Dooley. Again Liam Doyle. Just when Clare look like they're about to get the ball away, there are hooks and there are knocks down and blocks of all kinds. Hubert Rigney bats it, but not so effectively. Comes out instead towards Kevin Martin, put under incessant pressure. Here's Fergie Tui. Tui scampering away. Johnny Pilkington getting back, making a half challenge on that one. It reaches Jamesy O'Connor. One between them. Clare trailing. Jamesy O'Connor putting it in, putting it high, putting it off the post. It came off the post to PJ O'Connell. Comes back down again to Stephen McNamara. Here's Fergie Tui, who started all of that. Now will he get it over? Yes, he will. They're level. Level for the third time in this All-Ireland final. Clare becoming more expressive. Offaly with plenty of possession, but unable to translate possession into needed scores. This is where that one came in from Fergie Tui, down off the post, and look who reacted quickly. Keenan was in there quickly, and it was scampered away somehow by Shane McGuckin. We know what happened after that. Anthony Daly, straight here to Johnny Pilkington. Is this just a hint of a crisis for Offaly? Look where Pat O'Connor was waiting, just in case the ball came beyond the backs. But instead it's Michael O'Halloran who has it. Held, free to Clare.
Clare are hurling very well at the moment, and Fergus Tui gone in centre forward on Hubert Rigney has made a big impact for Clare.
Yes, it's O'Connell on the right, Fergie Tui, as you say, centre forward on Hubert Rigney, and Jamesy over there on Brian Wheelahan. David Fitzgerald with the free for Clare. Lands deep in Offaly's territory, dropped by Hubert Rigney, supported by Kevin Martin. Brian Wheelahan trying to get it one-handed away, hasn't been his usual highly influential self so far. Tony Considine and Mike McNamara, two of the Clare selectors, encouraging the referee. We may have a substitution, in fact we will, and it's going to be Declan Pilkington, I think, coming in, Tony.
Yes, indeed, and Pat O'Connor is the man to be called ashore for the moment. Also, as you can see, of course, Brendan Kelly has been warming up. They're thinking about a substitution for him as well, but for the moment, Pilkington in, O'Connor out.
Thank you for that, Tony. Jamesy O'Connor dropped in deep. And, you know, but for that very fortunate goal that Michael Dignan managed to get just before half-time against Davy Fitzgerald, Offaly would be in real trouble. And here's another change about to be made. Eamon Taff is about to come in for Clare. Not listed on the programme. I can tell you it's definitely Eamon Taff. And Stephen McNamara is about to make way, I think. Taff had a wonderful league campaign, but then suffered injury in the championship. But he's a player of genuine class. Can he turn it now? Clare's way. It's level at the moment. Jamesy O'Connor from 65 metres out, going left. Guarded all the way there by David Hughes, and disappointment for Jamesy. Clare's 10th wide, by the way. Offaly with just 3. So Clare a bit more wasteful with their chances. And just like last year, anybody can win this final. Delicately balanced, the fans enjoying themselves. Clare making an unusual change, by the way, in the full forward line. As you watch Sean McMahon, there are just 2 players in the full forward line right now. They're trying to drag players out of position if at all possible.
That's right, Ger. I think Kevin Keenan has been so dominant in around the square. Eamon Taff has come on and is starting to bring him out the field. Whether Kevin falls for that or not, we'll have to wait and see.
As Sean McMahon goes down, wins the free. Yeah, the Sparrow was trying to take Keenan away from the edge of the square towards the right corner back position, but he's gone back in again now. Sean McMahon's free, just 2 men in the inside forward line momentarily. Broken away by Hubert Rigney. Shane McGuckin trying to feed it out to Brian Wheelahan. Out it comes towards Fergal Hegarty, and that's gone wide. Clare now really with an awful lot of chances to take scores. And so far, as you can see, just 10 points to Offaly's 1-7. And Offaly, the most difficult county, I would suggest, around to beat when there's still a couple of minutes left, even if you're a couple of points ahead of them. Wonderful catch, this time by Clancy. Much more expressive now around midfield than he had been up to now inside on the fringe of the square. Here he is again, towards the Sparrow O'Loughlin. Got a touch on it, runs on well here. And the referee allows play to continue, as Fergie Toohey was chasing it after that one. Shane McGuckin, great catch. Offaly backs not slow about putting the hand up and taking the ball with style. Likewise, mentioned style, how about Brian Lohan? That's a wonderful long clearance in towards Gerald Loughlin. Down it comes towards Taff. But it's David Hughes who has it. It's a really enjoyable All-Ireland final at this stage. The issue really in doubt. Jamesy O'Connor, players calling for it everywhere and anywhere. Here's Michael Duignan. The long ball down towards Billy Dooley. But Frank Lohan has the measure of that challenge, at least up to now. Doherty Regan. Knocked in adventurously, they chase in after it. Brian Lohan, someone got to stick to it, but only on as far as Billy Dooley. Dooley hand passing it back. Declan Perky the shot, comes a ricochet. Michael O'Halloran and Frank Lohan in there, and it's Brian Lohan who makes the clearance. That's terrific full back play. I tell you, both full backs in this match are playing stormers. Billy Dooley's final ball in there, missed by Brian Lohan in a typical fashion, and that's John Troy. Oh, that's a goal! Johnny Pilkington, right on the spot. 19 minutes into the second half. Well, when Offaly apply the pressure, this is what happens. Blocks and hooks, good stop by Davy Fitzgerald, but in came Johnny Pilkington, and he finished it right into the back of Davy Fitzgerald's goal, who's beaten for the second time, but on the ground there he did well initially, but there was no stopping Johnny Pilkington. For the record, they went off the legs, I think, of Brian Lohan, but he couldn't do much about it. So is this now once again to be the turning point of an All-Ireland final? John Troy, bad hand pass, straight to Sean McMahon. Who'll have the great inner belief and resolve now to carry through to the final whistle? Kevin Keenan would like to think the faithful county possessed that particular combination. McMahon again. How well he's played at centre half back. Lobbed in there, but it's Brian Wheelahan who takes it. Looking for Johnny Dooley. It's stopped over there by Anthony Daly. All of a sudden 3 points separating the teams. That's a good ball forward, but it's picked up once again here by Brian Lohan. John Troy is now at full forward, marking Brian Lohan. It's stopped by Shane McGuckin, comes back to Conor Clancy. Jamesy O'Connor now, and he's put it to the right. I think Conor Clancy was injured just after he passed that ball away to Jamesy O'Connor. But that's the kind of chance I think they should have been taking with only 15 minutes to go.
Yes, definitely, especially after getting that goal. You know, it was a great chance for James O'Connor to bring 2 points in between the sides. You know, but they're still well in the game. You know, we still have 15 minutes to go, and if they can keep playing the way they're playing at this point in time, Clare still are well in with a great chance.
So Clancy from Kilmaley receiving the attentions. Colin Flynn is in there along with Conor Fanning, and the trophy, the Liam McCarthy Cup. And will this be the moment where the match turned in Offaly's direction? It's a fine save by David Fitzgerald, but great follow-up play. It trickled off the leg, I think, of Brian Lohan, and a delighted Joe Dooley was celebrating. Pulling all around, Fergal Hegarty without the stick. One back here by Kevin Martin. Offaly again now trying to put the Clare backs under repeated pressure. Declan Pilkington knocking the back for his troubles from Ollie Baker as he plays it forward towards John Troy. Troy now settling to his task. Useful looking shot, but it goes to the right. Not too much in that.
When you look at the scores, Jar, I mean, it's 2-7 to 10 points. Our Clare scored 10 points and Offaly scored 9. Big difference is the 2 goals. Offaly's ability to score goals.
Hubert Rigney waiting for it. Michael Duignan back around midfield at this stage. And you have to say that Offaly have made some very good switches in this match. Johnny Dooley. Low inside, stopped by Brian Lohan. Great clearance to midfield towards Ollie Baker. Good catch in the air ahead of Johnny Pilkington. Got the second of Offaly's goals. Released outside towards Conor Clancy. Clancy. Oh, running into a cul-de-sac. By Johnny Pilkington, who is erstwhile midfield partner, Daithí Regan. And this time it's Offaly who are using the space of Croke Park, exposing the Clare defence. And that's another poor miss by John Troy. I don't think the management and selectors will be too pleased about the chances he's had in the last few minutes.
No, certainly not. He's definitely got a few chances there to put the game beyond Clare, and unfortunately hasn't taken them.
Offaly with 5 wides against 12 for Clare have been much the more profligate so far. Fergal Hegarty onto the dashing Jamesy O'Connor, and I think he knew from the minute he released that one that it was not destined to go over David Hughes' crossbar. So what will Ger Loughnane do? Pat Fitzgerald there perhaps been instructed that a further change is to be made, and it looks to me like Cyril Lyons is about to come in. Or is it Cyril Lyons? Yes, it is. So maybe Clare will opt for the experience. Daithí Regan, Johnny Dooley pulling on it. Now a race for possession here involving John Troy and Brian Lohan. Troy does well, just holding it up. Good vision then to pick out Joe Dooley. Good block by Ollie Baker. Liam Doyle coming to the assistance of the number 9 for Clare. Gets away, opens up the broad shoulders. A mighty delivery, but it's going away right. And they needed a more subtle touch inside. Eamon Tapp, you can gather by his demeanour, wasn't too pleased by the length of that pass.
Jar, I think we've often said it in the past here, you know, hitting balls wide when there's no chance of scoring, rather than letting it in low at your full forward and keeping the ball in possession.
And a change for Offaly. It's Brendan Kelly coming into the game, and Joe Dooley is coming off.
Well, Joe's the experienced man, of course, of Offaly hurling. So Brendan Kelly getting his chance to enjoy the last 10 minutes, perhaps. But it's still a tight enough match. Only 3 minutes to go. And you remember what happened last year. It was Limerick at that stage 5 points ahead and 5 minutes to go. Johnny Dooley, who started the recovery on that occasion. John Troy missed it. Oh, it's swept away there by David Fitzgerald. Good save by the keeper. Liam Doyle. PJ O'Connell has had his moments. Likewise Fergie Toohey. 3 very good points from Toohey. This time a better ball inside towards Cyril Lyons. And it's won, however, by Kevin Keenahan once again. This is the save just a moment ago here by David Fitzgerald. And he's had to recover his composure and his confidence after the lapse in the first half. I wouldn't like to have to pick an all-star fullback between Brian Lohan and Kevin Keenahan this year, I tell you.
No, certainly it's been 2 outstanding performances today by the 2 fullbacks.
So let us hope that he's able to continue, and Eamon Cregan there with a clenched fist, great determination. Wanting to coach the first ever Offaly side to a 2 in a row. This the catch again, came down awkwardly, challenged strongly by Eamon Tapp. He's playing on, fist David Hughes puck out. Declan Pilkington chasing. inside towards Billy Dooley. There's another big date, of course, this time at the altar next Saturday when he gets married. Sean McMahon, meanwhile, towards Eamon Taff. Kevin Martin, what a great couple of seasons he's had in the Offaly colours. And the Tullamore man has made a good 40 yards. Now he's going for the point, but he's put it wide. Time ticking away, however. And from a Clare perspective, just about 7 minutes to go, plus a bit of injury time. Johnny Pilkington makes a fine catch across towards Johnny Dooley's corner. Anthony Daly. And is limited Johnny Dooley to just 1 point from play this afternoon. In it goes, dangerously so. Cyril Lyons has the chance here. The Sparrow likewise. Good save on the line. And it comes to Eamon Taff. Offaly living dangerously and just 3 points between them. Oh, that could have been such a vital score had Clare been able to get a chance on it. McMahon is injured and fouled by Johnny Dooley. This was the chance just a few seconds ago. Watch as the Sparrow and Cyril Lyons were going in there, and what a good hook. And once again, it's Shane McGuckin who got to it, along with Brian Wheelahan. Free to Clare. Jamesy O'Connor. It's gone wide. They've been wasteful with a lot of their useful chances that they've been taking up to now in the championship.
Yes, certainly, Jerry. You know, they've missed an awful lot of wides there in the last 10-15 minutes. But great credit again to the Offaly defence. Great skill in hooking and blocking and getting the ball out of defence.
For the record, Jamesy O'Connor's had 7 shots at goal. He scored just once. Ollie Baker bats it down, but there are a couple of Offaly players anticipating, I think, another All-Ireland success here. But Clare back there, playing as a team, as a unit. Anthony Daly, stopped again by Kevin Martin. But this is Jamesy O'Connor, shrugging aside, I'm sure, previous disappointments. The pass outside to Fergie Toohey. How they need a score. Can he provide it? And the answer is yes. 2 points the margin after Fergie Toohey's 4th point of the day. Offaly 2-7, Clare 11 points. They believe it's still possible. The president looks on, enthralled, I'm sure, by a gripping contest. Jamesy O'Connor, ball picked up, free to Offaly. So Offaly with just 9 scores so far against Clare's 11 of those 2 vital goals to Johnny Pilkington in the second half and Michael Dignan towards the end of the first. Now Johnny Dooley. This is just inside the 65-metre line. Dropped in high and well saved by goalkeeper Davy Fitzgerald. Others might have given up on it. Ollie Baker breaks it down to the waiting Sean McMahon. Clare coming foraging, but stopped by little hooks and blocks and shimmies by a determined and skillful All-Ireland Championship winning team from Offaly last year. And looking to retain their title here. Now there's pressure on them. Keenan again. What a wonderful catch. The distribution outside to Shane McGuckin. What an exhibition of catching by the Offaly full-back. Johnny Dooley, it's broken down by Frank Lohan, away from Billy Dooley. That's Liam Doyle. It's Frank Lohan trying to emerge with it, trying to take it away from Declan Pilkington, fouled right in front of the eyes of referee Dickie Murphy from Wexford. This was a wonderful catch. What is it, 3 or 4 catches he's made this afternoon? Absolutely magnificent skill.
They're thinking about a substitution now themselves. Eamon Taff, who already came on as a sub, is about to come off the field to be replaced by Alan Neville as soon as Clare get a chance.
That's free is swung in there, batted down by the goalkeeper. It's a goal! It's a goal by Eamon Taff! Clare are in front! A Clare goal! Coming with 5 minutes to go and a little under. Goalkeeper touched it it down. And this is where Eamon Taft came in. Clare lead. Clare in front by a point. Well, they talked about the last 5 minutes last year. We've now got under 4 minutes to go. Are Clare about to take a second All-Ireland crown, the last in 1914? Johnny Dooley has a free. It's Eamon Taft who got the goal, and you heard from Tony that he was about to be replaced, and the ball's gone over the bar, and the sides are level for the 5th time. Johnny Dooley's 5th point. What a match, Tomas.
Great excitement on the last couple of minutes, Joran. Offaly definitely paying the price for not putting away Clare earlier on, you know, and great credit to Clare for coming back into the game that they were out of.
So Clare right back in the match once again. Sides all square. Here's a Sparrow. Helped on by Ollie Baker. Coming across is Brian Wheelahan. Does either side deserve to lose this? It's got to be a 65. A 65 then. Players going down with injuries. Players who must be exhausted at this stage. It looks like Hubert Rigney. And Hubert had an injury during this championship earlier on, but this time it's just cramp, I feel. Every chance is going to be absolutely critical. What an afternoon we've had in Croke Park. They were nervous and tentative earlier on, as you'd expect. Defences were on top. The faces in the Clare crowd. A sea of faces from the Banner County, willing their team on. The curse of Biddy Early has been broken, well and truly. Eamon Cregan making sure that Hubert Rigney's okay, and we have further news.
Well, it's Joe Erity is the one getting ready to come on. If Hubert isn't okay, Joe's taking off his tracksuit, perhaps getting ready to enter the fray.
Here's the 65 from Anthony Daly. Where's it going? Over the bar! The captain has put his side in front. Just over a minute and 20 seconds to go. From the 65, it's Clare who lead. My goodness. Back it comes to Fergie Toohey again. Toohey's shot rains in, but to the right this time. What a match. My goodness, is she feeling the tension? Are we all, I think. Offaly this year being put to the pin of their collars. In spite of a great goal in the second half, credited to Johnny Pilkington. They're still there. So too Clare. On my watch, 35 seconds of normal time to go. Here's PJ O'Connell. Will he score here? It's stopped by David Hughes. Well, that's when they wanted O'Connell to chip in with his first point of this final. He failed to do so. Kevin Martin, straight to Johnny Pilkington. Now with the minimum of fuss. Can they draw level? Off the post it comes! Pilkington was so unlucky. Out it comes somehow. Frank Lowen assisted there by Anthony Daly. The Bannermen lead 15 points to 14. 112 to 2-8. Fergie to his shot in as dramatic a finish as you could hope for an All-Ireland final. Cyril Lyons dispossesses Kevin Keenahan. The referee's whistle signalling that it's going to be a free-in. This is an easy enough chance.
Yes, great chance for Clare to go 2 points ahead now, and certainly that should be the end of the game at that stage.
There'll be tears of joy if they can do it. Look at this. James O'Connor. Score of just 1 point so far from 7 or 8 chances.
But if Jamesy puts this over the bar, I don't think he's going to be too worried about the ones that have gone by.
Absolutely not. And he's done so! Jamesy's second point. I'm sure there's a loss there tomorrow in Clare in St. Flannan's, and Clare are just about to win. They've won! Clare have won the All-Ireland! What a victory! A tribute to determination and no little craft. Well coached by Gerlachnan. He told us at half-time they'd do it. He said they'd win the Munster. They did. Eat your heart out, Biddy Early. Clare have done it by 2 points, 113 to 2-8. What a dramatic finale. There's no sport like it. Nothing whatsoever to rival this. We thought it was superb and brilliant, and indeed it was in the last 5 minutes last year. But they've come with a moving display in the second half. They were not going to be beaten. The Clare management made astute switches and changes. They tried to do an Eamon Cregan on it and outfox him. And we've got some news now from the sideline from Tony on a dramatic day for the Banner County.
And what news I have, Clare, the All-Ireland champions, Gerlachnan with me. Ger, fantastic.
Just unbelievable, Tony. I can't believe it. This time last year we were in the depths of despair after being beaten in 2 Munster finals. Here we are 12 months later, All-Ireland champions. Funny, we met tomorrow night a year was the first time we met Mike Mack, Tony Constantine and myself. Now we're the champions. Unbelievable.
You told us at half-time you were going to win it.
Well, we weren't going to surrender. By Jesus, we weren't going to surrender today. We were going to give it everything, and pure heart is what kept us in it in the second half. The lads were just fantastic.
Well done, you deserve it.
Thanks very much.
Well done to Gerlachnan and to Tony O'Donoghue for getting the interview straight away for us here. Hope you've enjoyed this coverage. We've still to hear from the players, of course. We've still to see the celebration, but they're going to start now. Forget about the cows in County Clare. Somebody will look after them. They've been on automatic pilot since July when they won in Thurles anyway. They know how to celebrate, famous for their song and their music and their lore. Tales of great players in the past. But now they've got their modern day crop of wonderful players for the youth of Clare to look up to. What a homecoming they'll have tomorrow night in Ennis. And before that, when they go into Clare Castle, I'm sure, which was an absolute sea of colour. Something I've never seen anywhere before. They really, really were delighted to be in the All-Ireland final. It meant so much for the people of this county. They've served a long apprenticeship at the Munster Championship. Perennial losers they were, but Gerlachnan, building on the work of Len Gaynor before him, the Clare County Board making very astute moves to bring in clever people, good coaches, people who know the game, people who can rally and encourage the young players of Clare to put on a performance like we witnessed this afternoon. For Davy Fitzgerald as well. In his household, of course, it's all hurling. His dad, as we told you earlier, is the Clare County Secretary and had the headache of distributing the tickets, which he's obviously done well. The Bachelors from Clare take the title, helped, of course, by 1 or 2 married lads who came on as substitutes. And what a great occasion as well for Cyril Lyons to come in. He's been part of Clare matches over the years, and others who played their part during the championship. Players like Jim McInerney and many others. There wasn't a weak link there. When they were put to the pin of their collar, they had the response. It's a day for the saffron and blue. And not surprisingly, barriers and gates coming a cropper. Everybody wants to be out there. But the sea that's in front of us right now is an amazing scene. Ready for the presentation. The Vikings from Clare have done it. Robert Frost there, chairman of the county board in picture. A proud man. There were hundreds and hundreds of people watching training last Tuesday night when I was down there. And Robert was so enthusiastic about their chances. They didn't want to wish too much because they've had so many disappointments in the past when they were so close, or so they thought. But this is the scene that's in front of the presentation area right now. A day when everybody, I suppose, wants to be a Clare man or a Clare woman. And Offaly will not begrudge them this title. Offaly had a great chance of taking 2 in a row. It just didn't happen. At a critical stage in the match, Clare came good. Got the vital scores. That goal by Eamon Taff, really turning it in Clare's direction. And Jack Boozman is ready to make the presentation.
Anthony Daly. Has anyone seen Anthony Daly?
Has that ever happened before? Where is the Clare captain? Well, he hasn't gone AWOL, I tell you. He's just being swallowed up by all the happy people of Clare. I think 31 counties are probably celebrating this victory. It's a victory for what you can do when you organise at grassroots level and build up in a slow, methodical fashion. That's what Clare has done. It's a victory for hurling as well. As in the second half, we had a very, very spirited and wholehearted contest. So young and old alike coming in here. And the Moyer there doing a very wise thing, helping the people in. It'd be a shame if anything catastrophic were to happen in terms of a crush or anything like that. It's just good-humoured. Anthony Daly is finally about to make his way up here to take the Liam McCarthy Cup. In 1914, there was no Liam McCarthy Cup. That wasn't presented until 1921. So he becomes the first Clare man to lift the McCarthy Cup on the day Clare take their second All-Ireland. Offaly had their great day in 1981. Galway, remember, in 1980, and success before that as well. But this is Clare's day. And the Taoiseach there wanting to congratulate Anthony Daly, former President Hillary there as well. Great Clare man that he is.
A Haitian, Ardvera, Ardashbog, August Specialta, Ferdinand on Clare, August Winter on Clare. Ta, on Vehem Fada, Hart. The long wait is over. I had a speech lasting about 20 minutes, but I'm going to throw that away because today is a day for celebration. First of all, Tugargus, the Ferdinand Clare, the Offaly, near Evan Talib in your is keen to come 18 or Ashery Sarawan. This has been a unique occasion for coming to Clare. Scullon, Ardua, Ardan, Ardua, and a victory for Clare after how many years? It is also the first All-Ireland Hurling Championship that has been sponsored. And I'm delighted to have Mr. Colin Storm representing Guinness's, who are our sponsors for this hurling championship. But enough said. Once again, our sympathies to Offaly. Congratulations to Clare, August Leshin, Runaway, and Curtinshaw, our captain, Anthony O'Donnell.
Perhaps you thought it would never happen. It has. Clare are the All-Ireland Hurling champions, and Anthony Daly lifts the McCarthy Cup for 1995. What a day, and what a year. Scenes of absolute jubilation. The Bowrons beat. It's a memorable occasion.
Oaktaran coming Luke Lascale. Tána some down on and Connolly and McCorrick Shaw. A Glocka or St. Fernie Morney as Cundale Tower. There's been a missing person in Clare for 81 long years. Well, today, that person has been found alive and well, and that person's name is Liam McCarthy. In that long period, you, the people of Clare, and every person who ever wore the saffron and blue with pride has suffered much. We have listened to many jibes down through the years. We were told to stick to our traditional music. Well, in Clare, we love our traditional music, but we love our hurling as well. '95 will go down in history as the greatest year in Clare GAA. That 1995 became, that year was no accident. Many people are due many thanks so that today might have become a reality. And I think first and foremost at this time of the many great Clare teams down through the years who never, many of those teams were better than this Clare team, but they were never as fortunate as we were. Now, we accept this Liam McCarthy Cup on behalf of all of those teams, whoever wore the Clare jersey. As I said, many tributes are due to many people, and it's very hard to name out everybody. And I think I covered a lot of people in the Munster final speech. But the county board and our sponsor, Pat O'Donnell, deserve special mention. Our medical people, Dr. Padraig Quinn, Dr. Conor Fanning, Colin Flynn, and two others that I think of, Ursula Lucknan and Jojo Horn. But mostly, I suppose, on this great day, tribute is due to three great men. Firstly, to our selector and mentor, and the man for whom at many stages he kept the ship afloat, the man from Cratloe, Tony Considine. The man who drove us to hell and back and broke our backs in Shannon, in Crusheen, everywhere we trained. The Scariff Publican, the great Mike McNamara. And finally, the man who would die and has died for Clare hurling, and so that this day his obsession might become a reality. A man who gave every last drop of sweat and blood he had, the great Ger Loughnane. It's going to be one hell of a week, and we look forward to seeing you in Ennis tomorrow night. Finally, we say to Offaly, for many years, you have been our inspiration. We looked at your success story and said, why can't we achieve that? And we thank you sincerely for a great struggle today, and we know that Offaly hurling is so strong now that it'll be back again. 3 cheers for Offaly. Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! Come on, the banner!
Well, at the beginning of this year's championship, could you have imagined that Anthony Daly would be up there at Croke Park in the Hogan stand accepting the Liam McCarthy Cup? That is the situation. What a fabulous, fabulous scene here. We take a short commercial break. Join us again in a moment. Well, in terms of the weather, there's an unnatural gloom over Croke Park at what is it, 5:10 here this evening, and all that rain that was threatened all afternoon still being threatened here. There's no gloom at all if you're a Clare supporter this evening. Again, we have to say, a fantastic scene here in Croke Park. I've never seen as many people out on the pitch and remaining afterwards to celebrate with the Clare team this fabulous victory today. Still, they say they stay there. The players themselves have already made their way or are making their way back to the dressing room. But all the supporters of Clare have come to Croke Park, just want to savour this special day. Chair Hegarty, as a Munster man and as a player who's played against these players yourself, I'm sure that you're delighted for them.
Yes, Michael, I must first and foremost warmly and sincerely congratulate Clare on this, their greatest day in the last 81 years. I mean, the scenes outside here say it all, really, don't they? It's been an emotional day, it's been a superb day. But I felt Clare would do it from the very start, and I stuck with them all the way. After beating Limerick in the Munster final, I really believed that the team that could beat Limerick in the Munster final, or any stage of championship, would go on to win the All-Ireland. Clare did it, and they went from strength to strength all the way through. Now, we must say that at half-time, or prior to half-time, we were saying that Clare looked like they were getting on top of midfield, and James was coming to more in the half-forward position. That actually didn't work at all, because in the second half, Offaly were totally on top of midfield, and James wasn't in the game of wing forward. But the general team play was actually superb right throughout, and it just carried them. And really, in the last 15 minutes, DJ and myself were agreeing that Clare stepped up a gear in terms of physical fitness, and ultimately, I think that's what carried them through to the end.
And yet, DJ Carey, when Offaly got that second half goal, I must say I thought myself that it was going to be their day.
I did so too, because I think Clare were after coming back to around level after hurling well. Offaly came down the field, and I think just Johnny Pilkington at the end of it was in from midfield. I'm not sure we can see it here now exactly. Johnny Pilkington came in from midfield, and I thought that was going to be a great boost for Offaly, because that's where they're able to pull away from teams. They come in and get a score like that, and they're able to tack on 2 or 3 points. But fair dues to Clare, delighted for them, and I think it's great for hurling in general that Clare have won. You know, it shows a point to everyone that they can win in All-Ireland as well.
But Ger Hegarty, it's to Clare's absolute credit, and they showed this in other matches as well this year, that when they were hit by a big blow, they had the strength of character to come back again.
I tell you, Michael, Clare did to Offaly today, but Offaly did to Limerick in the All-Ireland final last year. In the last 10 minutes of the All-Ireland last year, you know, Offaly took over the game against Limerick. But today, Clare came more or less took over the game in the last 10 minutes. That was the start of it. That was a Taff got the score, the substitute got the score. That was the start of it, really. Very similar to last year. Ball floated in. Ball was brought down, and ball bounced, set up beautiful for Taff, and Taff buried it. Suddenly, Clare picked up another gear from there. I think they followed that up another point or 2 or 3 minutes later, and ultimately that was the end of the game for Offaly.
Gentlemen, thank you very much, Chair Hegarty and DJ Carey. Thank you for joining us on our panel today. That's where we must leave it from Croke Park, and what has been a very, very special day indeed. And my own heartiest congratulations to the people of Clare. Don't forget, of course, that you can see all the highlights of the Sunday game tonight, analysis of the match once again, highlights of the minor game between Cork and Kilkenny. That game, of course, won by Cork. And the man of the match from today's final, who will it be? Find out tonight on the Sunday game. Join me then.